Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk here at Black Hat USA in beautiful and oh so sunny Las Vegas. Terry Sweeney here with Dark Reading. Joining us now is Justin Albrecht, Global Director of Mobile Threat Intelligence with Lookout. Justin, thanks and welcome to the Dark Reading News Desk.
Thanks for having me, Terry. Appreciate it.
We are talking about how to protect against nation-state advanced persistent threat attackers, a mild, sort of insignificant issue, not really on the minds of anybody here at Black Hat.
No one's worried about it. Not here
Nothing
yet.
to see, exactly. If only that were true. So we're coming at this from a mobility and perspective. Talk about some of the most common vulnerabilities that you've observed as you've studied this whole APT, advanced persistent threat issue with mobile.
So the trick with mobile is that you really require a full exploit chain to attack the mobile device. And as we've seen with things like Pegasus, for example, or Triangle DB, which has been in the news, they typically start with WebKit. They might move to a kernel vulnerability, but it's an entire chain, and they happen to be some of the most expensive vulnerabilities on the market. Typically, for a full RCE, you need $2.5 million, $3 million that they're paying now for these.
Expensive to deploy, it's expensive to defend against.
It's expensive. It's tough to defend against because there's really not much you can do, especially for a zero-click attack.
Sure.
It's completely invisible to the user. And it's expensive to purchase. So basically, there's zero-day shops operating around the globe that are purchasing these solutions from vulnerability researchers, and they're paying top dollar. I think I saw recently there's a Russian group, for example. I forget the name off the top of my head, but they're paying $2.5 million for a full RCE exploit chain against iOS. Same price for Android, and $1.5 to do Signal, for example. A lot of it happens in the applications that are on the device. That's how they attack them.
My assumption then is that we're talking about governments or deep-pocketed customers who can stomach those kinds of fees. This is obviously a different scale than the dime store ransomware as a service kinds of things that we've seen.
It's a different scale, and the interesting thing is it's not only governments anymore. You might have heard about PDD Holdings, Pinduoduo, an application in China. They hired a team of 100 researchers to look for exploits against the Android device. For an e-commerce application. So they basically had a zero-day exploit inside their own e-commerce application to defraud users, to steal their data, and to prevent the removal of their application. So it's definitely spreading beyond those top dollar governments as well.
How is it that these APT nation-state attacks target specific organizations or sectors or geographies even?
It depends on what they're after, right? So when we're looking at mobile, the thing to consider with the mobile device is people treat it kind of like an edge device more than an endpoint, right? They're not well protected in general. They are typically managed. They usually don't have like an AV solution on them. And attackers know this, so they know it's something easy to go to, and it's a perfect target for espionage against the user because it has your entire pattern of life on it. It has your contacts, so that's everyone you're in contact with, what their relationship is to you. It can even pull your user dictionary for what you use in your chat applications to learn how you talk, and use your device as a launching point for other attacks, for social engineering attacks against other people who are within your contacts. So when they're targeting organizations, they might be targeting an individual for trade secrets. They might be targeting, someone just for espionage purposes. But they're also doing downstream attacks. They're also attacking organizations that might have customer lists, or they might have information on individuals that a government would be interested in, for example. Like, let's say I want to hack a hotel and figure out who's staying at the hotel in order to monitor them, or to see if they're monitoring my network of spies.
Okay. With that in mind, what sort of trends or patterns are you seeing in the attacker selection process?
What we typically see is they'll target organizations that allow them to do those downstream attacks. So a good example is, now this is moving away from vulnerabilities and moving more into phishing, but Octopus came out about a year ago. Group IB did the research on it. They hacked more than 135 organizations, starting with the mobile device, in order to get access to the organization and perform downstream supply chain attacks to other organizations. So they were hacking Okta, they were hacking telcos. They were looking for organizations that would provide them further data on other victims.
So what's happening on the threat landscape that makes the job of APT attackers easier?
I'd say it's a lack of awareness in many cases. So like I mentioned earlier, people treat mobile devices a bit like edge devices. And attackers are moving towards targeting edge devices rather than targeting traditional endpoints, right?
Okay.
So if you think of an edge device, it doesn't have good logs. It doesn't have full EDR capabilities that you can deploy against it. They tend to lack AV. So it's something that's easier to target. If I want to hack an individual, then I know that their phone, they treat it like an extension of your body at this point, you know? It's a pocket computer that lives with you. We barely make calls anymore, but we don't think of the access that it has. So it's something that when you're a hacker and you think about who you're going to target first to get into an organization, these devices have the same type of access, even to cloud credentials, that a traditional endpoint device has.
Of course, right.
Right? But you know that it's not protected. So why would I spend tons of money, millions of dollars, and a lot of effort to target these very hardened devices when I can target something that you have in your hand every day and you kind of forget even exists or forget to protect it?
Well, I mean, you make an effective point that the information it contains isn't just personal information. I mean, it's also deeply intimate information.
Yeah, exactly. It contains your entire network. It also contains access for organizations, access to, the organizational data, to PII. It also gives a lot of information that you can use for social engineering. If you think about what you keep in your phone, if I wanted to do a follow-on attack, I can gather a lot of intelligence in that recon phase just by hacking a mobile device, because then I really get to know the person. If I want to do a business email compromise from there, then I'll know exactly how they talk. I know who they talk to. I could possibly send the email from the device even. If you think about it, it's just a very easy way in. And especially if you look at the kill chain and recon, there's not a better target than a phone. I guarantee it.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one, but I'm trying not to freak out about that. And I'm also wondering, is downloading Signal or some other sort of encryption communication, is that a way to address this? Or what are some of the potential fixes to, if not eliminate the risk, then certainly reduce it?
So like an end-to-end encrypted messaging application, that's great for stopping people who are trying to attack your communication in the middle, right? Because if they gather that through passive access, they're not going to be able to read your chats. But unfortunately, once you jailbreak a mobile device remotely, or once you infect it, you can actually get everything that's on Signal, you can get everything that's on WhatsApp. All of those are stored in SQLite databases on the device.
Okay.
So that doesn't protect your communications. What you can do is just practice good mobile hygiene, which is download from the official stores, keep things updated. New models of devices, especially that support security updates for a long time. Don't download third-party applications. Don't root your device. That's the very simple stuff. But obviously, phishing also is a problem. That's how a lot of APTs are just delivering malware.
Sure.
On mobile is just through sheer phishing.
Super
and
effective, right?
Still, yeah, the most effective, and it's used a ton. So user awareness also. And then an MTD solution, so a solution, an AV solution to protect your device from the various types of threats. Because it's not just apps or phishing, there's also man-in-the-middle attacks. There's a lot of different ways to target a mobile device.
Of course, we want users to be smarter, but what's the burden on device makers or even carriers?
Well, for carriers especially, we're talking other types of attacks, like SIM swapping attacks.
Okay.
That's something that's definitely in their lane for fixing. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that other external companies can do about attacks like that. And then for the device manufacturers, Android is a fragmented market. It's tough. Even Google themselves pointed out that other device manufacturers like Samsung, they need to start, implementing their updates more regularly, more frequently, and to really just bug bounties and kind of identifying these vulnerabilities and making sure that the device manufacturers are putting in vulnerability fixes as quickly as possible.
Well, I won't look at my mobile phone so sweetly ever again, thanks to this conversation, Justin. So thanks a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you doing News Desk. Thanks so much for coming by.
All right, thanks, Harry.
We've been talking with Justin Albrecht of Lookout. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you soon.